Good day, students. Welcome to mathgotserved.com. In this clip, we're going to be going over question 2 of our EOC test prep on factoring. We're going to be looking at how to factor by grouping, focusing on factorization of level 2 expressions. Alright, so the instructions for the example is for us to factor completely. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to factor completely. So let's say we have, for question 2, let's say we have the polynomial expression 6n to the third plus 4n squared plus 4n plus 1. Okay, so the task is to factor completely. In level 2 factorization by grouping, all we'll have to do is partition our expression down the center, factor the greatest common factor from both sides of the partition, and then we'll finish it off by factoring by grouping. Alright, so we have 4 terms, which is very convenient because it enables us to simply partition the entire expression right down the center. Alright, so upon partitioning, we have the first two and the last two. By inspection, some of you might be able to easily determine what the greatest common factor is, but let me show you the steps. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to break it down completely, each term that are composite, and then we're going to determine what the GCF are in our pairs of terms. Okay, so we have 16. Let's break this down completely. 16 can be decomposed into 2 goes into 16 8 times, 2 goes into 8 4 times, and then 2 goes into 4 2 times. Alright, so if we want to write 16 in its factored state, in its prime factor decomposed state, we'll have 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, 4 2's, and then times n times n times n. If we want to break down 4, we can see it here, simply 2 times 2. So we have 2 times 2 times n times n. Bring down the middle sign, break down 4 again. We have 2 times 2 times n plus 1. Now we're going to take a look at the left side of our partition and see what common factors we can extract. If you notice, we have a 2 and a 2 here, and then a 2 and a 2 here. So those are common factors on the left side of our partition. We also have an n and an n here, and then also an n and an n there too. So we can factor out 2 times 2 times n times n. Alright, when we factor those out, we're going to have 2 times 2 is 4, and then n times n is n squared. Now what will we be left with? Now, to the left side of our plus, we'll be left with 2 times 2 times n. And then we have a plus. Now 2 and 2, n and n are all factored out. So when they're all factored out, what you'll be left with is 1. Because when you factor out, you'll be left with 1. Because you're dividing when you're factoring, okay? When you divide two numbers that are identical, you end up with 1. Alright, so what we're going to do is place the remaining factors that do not have common factors down in the parentheses. So to the left of the plus, we have 2 times 2 times n, which is 4n. And then bring down the plus, and since 2 times 2 times n were factored out completely, we're going to be left with 1, a consequence of dividing. Okay? Now the right side of the partition, we're going to do exactly the same thing. Let's look for common factors to the right and left of this plus sign. We have 2 times 2 times n, and then 1 here. There are no common factors. Anytime you cannot see a common factor to extract, you will automatically pull out the default common factor, which is a number that goes into every number. So which number is a factor of every number? Or what number goes into every number? That number is 1. Okay? So do not forget, anytime you cannot factor out anything, you just pull out a 1. And then we're just going to multiply these back together. 2 times 2 times n is 4n plus, and then bring down the plus, and then the 1. This is where we'll pause and do a real quick check to see if our factorization is correct. to do our check, we're going to examine the quantities in the parentheses to make sure that they are identical. That is the case here. We have 4n plus 1 and 4n plus 1. They're both identical, which means that our process so far is accurate. Now to proceed, we're going to factor out the common factors, 4n plus 1 and 4n plus 1. So that will be 4n plus 1 has been factored out just as we did in the left side here and also on the right side. Now when you factor out 4n plus 1, it is as though you divided the entire expression by 4n plus 1. What do you have left? You're going to be left with 4n squared plus 1. Those two terms will be combined together in their own parentheses. You have 4n squared plus 1. Okay, so your final answer is 4n. You can write this product of factors in any order that you like. I can say 4n plus 1 times 4n squared plus 1 times 4n plus 1. You can write it like this, or you can write it like 4n plus 1 times 4n squared plus 1. Remember, multiplication commutes. The order of your multiplication or product of factors does not really matter. Okay, so that's the answer to question number 2 of our EOC practice test, level 2 factorization. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch this presentation. Let us know what you think. If you found the contents of this tutorial helpful in your preparation for the EOCs or just studying factorization in general, do give us a thumbs up. Your positive feedback is very valuable to us. If you have any questions or comments or special requests, feel free to post it in the comment section below. We'll be more than glad to respond. Do not forget to subscribe to our channel for updates to other presentations such as this. More clips, including the practice test, can be found at math.serve.com, or you can take a look at the description to find a link to how to get to the actual practice test, the practice test that we have to help you pass the EOC. Thanks again for watching and have a wonderful day. Goodbye.